100,000 aluminum radiators will corrode and fail. But Prestone antifreeze bonds with aluminum, forming the Prestone zone of protection against corrosion. It's your car. Protect it in the Prestone zone. Now NASCAR's in the Prestone zone. Prestone's the official antifreeze of NASCAR.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Low pressure now moving off the middle Atlantic coast is responsible for rain and showers across the region this Sunday. Good afternoon. Welcome to Weather Center. I'm Mike Bono.
And I'm Jim Cantori. Those of you along the Pacific Northwest coast are seeing your share of rainy weather again. And snow levels are pretty high. They will come down. Mike's going to talk about that in just a moment. Right now, let's start with the clouds and rain in Florida, which are still occurring. But this is what it looked like earlier on in Tampa. Good day to stay indoors. The rain heavy at times in the city, and it caused a bit of a slowdown on the streets and highways. The rain has ended now, but cloudy conditions will remain in the city for the next few days. Downtown Atlanta, usually pretty calm on a Sunday morning, but today's rain helped make sure that it was extremely calm on a Sunday morning. Anyone taking a walk had to be bundled up against the temperatures in the 40s. The rain is over, but the clouds will linger in through Monday, and there's even a chance of getting a sprinkle back into the picture. And why is that? Well, because there's really no significant front to come in and gut out all these low-level clouds which continue to linger in the south. Plus, there's an easterly wind flow at the surface. So that helps lock that moisture up against the southern mountains. And then when we have an upper low coming across tomorrow, that may help to just create enough instability to squeeze out a few showers. But tonight, the biggest problem in the Carolinas and West Virginia and Western Virginia is not going to be the rain. It will be the fog and the drizzle. There's a large area of fog and drizzle developing as we speak through the southern and central Appalachians. And this is going to make for a miserable drive. For example, if you're heading out of Knoxville into Bristol, up toward Roanoke, in toward Elkins and Beckley, West Virginia, it's going to be miserable. Visibilities are already dropping down below 2 miles, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. As a matter of fact, it probably has, because we don't put yellow on our Weather Channel maps unless we've dropped below a half mile. So there you go. Miserable drive tonight along Interstate 81. Showers along the eastern seaboard. A lot of low clouds, and you can even see them on the infrared. That's how thick these clouds are. You can see them on the infrared satellite picture. A few clouds showing up here. This is actually a reflection of what is an upper air low pressure. Shows up a lot better on the water vapor imagery. You can see this patch of water vapor in the middle here. And if you look close, and if I get my hand out of the way, you can see it spinning around just a little bit. And it's really this that when it comes through tomorrow, or begins to come through, that'll help create the back edge of the clouds. But until we get that through the southeast, a lot of these low clouds are going to hang around and be with us for a while. How's it look tonight if you're traveling in New York? Well, the first upper low is over West Virginia now, and some of the energy from that is extending out toward New York City, but most of the showers are to the south, and a lot of this is more mid-level clouds than actual rainfall, but it is raining in southern Pennsylvania and across central New Jersey, mostly light. Same thing true as you go south of Altoona down toward Cumberland. Maybe some snow over the higher peaks of West Virginia, for example, down around Snowshoe. It's only 31 degrees, but definitely some improvements back here in Cincinnati, down into Huntington, West Virginia, but the low clouds and probably the fog over West Virginia and western North Carolina. Even a few showers thrown in there with the fog and the drizzle. Raleigh, dealing with this rain earlier. This is what it looked like as we take you into Raleigh, North Carolina. Just a miserable day. Good day to be in by the fire or out at the mall shopping. Rain heavy at times through the early afternoon. And guess what? Temperatures sticking around in the 40s. Like Atlanta, expect those clouds to linger, and we may even get into a shower tomorrow, especially given the fact that we have the onshore flow. Some of this may make it over into the Carolinas, but it shouldn't be a heavy event. Most of the heavier rain now from Raleigh is heading through the eastern part of North Carolina and up toward Norfolk, Virginia. Still some heavy rain. Tampa, this is the rain that moved through you earlier, but now those heavier showers are heading across toward the Florida Turnpike and eventually Interstate 95. So drive slow tonight. Mike.
Thanks, Jim. It's been a pretty nice Sunday afternoon in most of Southern California today, but a different story totally in the Pacific Northwest. We see rainfall totals for the last 5 to 6 days tallying up to 5.5 inches. In fact, in the foothills of the Cascades in Skagit County, 4 1/3 inches in just 24 hours. So we got a lot of rain coming down in Washington and recently in Oregon and even California. Seattle, Portland, not as much as some of the more rain-prone areas right along the coastline. Looks like our front is now finally bodily moving into the west with a lot of wind out ahead of it. Now we've had wind at Livingston, Montana, up to 60 miles an hour in this Chinook zone. When you see the isobars packed that closely just east of the Rockies, you get these warmer Chinook winds. In fact, it actually warms it up above freezing this time of the year. Wyoming and even some wind in Colorado. But feeding into this front, winds coming up through the Owens Valley around Bishop, California, the Tahoe Basin, Truckee and South Lake Tahoe, 40 to 45 mile an hour gusts, and some northwesterly winds now on the coastline where it's raining. We could see the mild conditions though. Reno 59, even Reno has had winds gusting to 45 to 50 miles an hour. And with the wind blowing offshore, that's right, desert air moving into LA and San Diego kept you between 75 and 80, with Phoenix in the desert 75. Salt Lake started a little slow, a little foggy this morning, barely up to 40, the cool air trapped in the valley. But east of the Rockies, it's in the 50s where that Chinook wind is blowing hard. Now, Southern Cal, not a care in the world. Beautiful day, not too much wind to worry about fires and things like that, and Phoenix looking good. But you can see that front. Look at this. Looks like a hose just pumping those clouds from south to north just off the Pacific coast. Upper level winds are strong. Rain along Interstate 5, not snow. Even Snoqualmie Pass, a little bit too warm to snow, but tonight that'll change. And a mass of heavy rain moving into the northern valleys of California, into the Shasta-Siskiyou region, such that you'll be getting snow there, 3 to 6 inches into the Tahoe Basin, down to the lake level, and down to the pass level overnight tonight. Snows are going to come down lower in the mountains, including the Rockies, as our front pushes colder air and wind in from the western areas, even toward Las Vegas. You could see some snow in your neighboring mountains. Here's Jim with the forecast.
Boy, you can't buy a flake of snow in northern Vermont, but in 10 days we've got 2 periods of snow in Las Vegas. Yeah, I think I'm ready for a weather pattern change. Anyway, low pressure on the East Coast, heading out. Remember, the low clouds are hanging around, the fog as well. Miserable driving tomorrow through the southern Appalachian chain all the way up into Pennsylvania. Here's the low pressure linked onto our front in the west, and as it moves through rain and mountain snow. Once this does begin to find a home, some pretty miserable weather, perhaps for places like Phoenix and Yuma, depending on where this low actually plants itself, but it could be hanging around for a while. Snow levels will come down in the northwest. Temperatures will drop off tonight over the Intermountain region, and it's going to be a cold night tonight, Mike, in Louisiana. Talking about some freezing temperatures down in south central Louisiana tonight. Clear skies.
Okay, and some tough driving east and west. We'll cover that on TravelWise after your local forecast.
We know what your family wants this holiday. Everything. And that's just what you'll get with the compact Presario 5600 series Internet PC. For Billy, who likes to go fast, an Intel Pentium 2.
Just be right there.
Getting a little quieter now.
Good.
Well, what you've been talking about all day appears to be now underway. We're still seeing cars in the streets. now desperately trying to get home, obviously, or get to shelter.
Christiane, are the street lights?
Yeah.
Christiane, are the street lights still on?
Yeah, they're still on. The street lights are on, the house lights are on, the apartment lights are on. A lot of cars just honking in the streets right now, obviously trying to get to shelter. And we had, I don't know how much of that you got, but we had an enormous amount of noise over the last couple of minutes. It started again.
Well, we received the entire burst, which started at 12:49 a.m. Baghdad time, your time. And this pattern of anti-aircraft fire from the rooftops in the city matches that pattern at the beginning of the Gulf War in January of 1991, where the anti-aircraft batteries actually, if you can imagine it, divide the sky into a grid pattern. And each battery is assigned to fire into that particular sector. So a lot of times, these huge guns on these rooftops are just firing away, and the roar from the guns, as you've heard, is thundering. They're firing away, the gunners are firing away, but they don't necessarily see what they're trying to shoot at, because aircraft are flying very high.
That's entirely likely, and certainly from this position right now, I cannot say one way or the other whether any strike has yet been launched on or around Baghdad or anywhere else in Iraq. All we know is that a response has been taken, a minimal response so far, but certainly enormous amount of noise over the last couple of seconds, anti-aircraft fire, anti-aircraft missile fire. And we're just going to wait, and this is clearly what you and everybody else has been talking about over the last 24 hours, and we'll wait and see how it develops, Bernie.
And a point just made by CNN military analyst, General Richard Neal, the fact that here you have AAA or anti-aircraft fire, but curiously, we do not hear the sirens as we heard more than a half hour ago.
Well, yes. Now, in my experience here, once things start, I don't recall hearing the sirens. I mean, it may have been different at the very beginning of the Gulf War, but towards the end, when I was here during '91, once the action was underway, the sirens were not as evident. I don't know whether that matches what the military analysts say, but I remember that as a fact the last time around. Certainly, the Iraqi people have been told, if they've been watching television today, that their country is now on a war footing, that the president they saw chairing a meeting of his Revolutionary Command Council, hoping that they and exhorting them to fight back and to resist. We've heard from the Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz, who delivered a statement that indeed he believed that the UNSCOM report that apparently is leading to this action was ill-intentioned, in his words, and a justification for US-British air attack, in his words. And we have seen that there has been patriotic songs, kind of a guerrilla resistance video being shown on the television. So all here, in terms of what the public is getting on the public airwaves, the state-controlled television and radio, has been a sort of wake-up call and get ready.